Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Please take your seats. We are about to begin this great evening with the great program. I hope you all had a wonderful day. And we are gathered here in this beautiful location in the center of Jerusalem. So I'm going to wait a couple of more minutes for people to get their seats. Okay. Everybody got their seats, their drinks. I will start just now. So welcome everybody to this lovely summit. Hi, thank you. Hello. My name is Tal Schneider. I'm a political and diplomatic correspondent at the Times of Israel. For those of you who may know me from Twitter or from other places, if you don't know me, this is tonight. It's a good timing. I've been a reporter for many years, and I'm very glad to see so many reporters and journalists here in Israel. It's always good and warm and nice to have you here in Jerusalem, our lovely capital. So let me begin by inviting the chairman of the Jewish Agency, Mr. Doron Almog, to light the menorah, the candles, the third candle, and to give us his blessing. Please, Doron.
אוי, לא. טל, לא רואים כלום.
So maybe it's better if everybody can take their seats so the people from the back of the room can still watch.
רק זהירות.
בימים ההם בזמן הזה.
לא לשבת פה, לא לשבת פה. לא לשבת פה, לא לשבת פה.
The head of the government press office, kindly come over here and welcome our guests.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Friends of Zion Museum. It's not my first time at this museum, and every time that I'm here, it's really something special that we can learn. First of all, the interactive dialogue that they have, the technology, and also the idea that we can tell stories that Jews and not Jews can live together at the same vision and the same dream, and nothing happened, not for the Jews and not for the non-Jews. And this is something that's really unique that we can learn in our summit as well. But the most impressive part that always when I come to FOZ, the Friends of Zion Museum, is that everyone can find in this museum home. You see, they bring here tourists, soldiers, מכינות קדם צבאיות, really lots of Israelis and Arabs and Druze and Jews and non-Jews, and we just arrived from the Knesset and we've seen the diversity, the hostilities, and that even that the guy from the Agudat Israel didn't want to come to the room before the guy from the Havodah party, Gilad Karif, left the room. And so this is something which we need to learn about it and to learn from FOZ Museum. Because the FOZ Museum, everyone can feel home. So I really would like to say thank you. To say thank you, first of all, to the founder of the museum, Mike Evans, for his vision. I would like to say thank you to Michael Evans II for his ongoing support for the summit, for the Christian Media Summit, for the Jewish Media Summit, and for the regional that we are planning to do in February, that will bring journalists from all over the Middle East, including Bahrain, UAE, Morocco, etc. I would like to say thank you to Nir Kimchi and to Daniel, the director of the Friends of Zion Museum, and also, of course, to our colleagues, Nachman Shai, Minister of Diaspora Affairs, and her Director General Tziona, for the support for this unique summit. And finally, our guest of honor today, Doron Almog. I think you're going to have a lot of work these coming years, because either if you like it or not, you are now the head of the Jewish people. So good luck with your mission. Thank you, everybody, and thank you, FOZ. Thank you.
Thank you, Nitzan. Let me invite over Mr. Daniel Wojciech, the Chief Executive Officer of the Museum of the Friends of Zion. Please.
Good evening and happy Hanukkah to all the participants of the 5th Jewish Media Summit, and welcome to the Friends of Zion Museum. A few weeks ago, I received a phone call from Nitzan Chen, director of the GPO, asking if we would like to host this wonderful evening. To which I was happy to say, of course. So thank you, Nitzan, for this phone call. We have the honor to host with us tonight the Diaspora Minister, Dr. Nachman Shai, and the Chairman of the Jewish Agency, Major General, Mr. Doron Almog. I would like to speak for a moment about Hanukkah, which we are all celebrating today. The Hashmonaim searched and found only one jug of oil which lay with the seal of the Kohen Gadol. It contained only enough oil to light for one day. Yet a miracle happened and the oil lasted for 8 days. Because of this miracle, we celebrate Hanukkah for 8 days. But why? Shouldn't Hanukkah, which celebrates the miracle of the oil, be celebrated for just 7 days? This is maybe the most frequently question asked about Hanukkah. I want to give you a short answer on a deeper level to this question and connect it to our museum, which you just have been seeing. Imagine the dramatic moment when the jug of oil was found. At first there was a great joy, but then someone must have stood up, a rational and calculated type and said, "Is it even worth lighting for one day if tomorrow we no longer have oil? Let's wait for a few days until we can gather enough that can last for at least a week." How lucky they didn't listen to him and give up on the lightning. We would have missed the miracle of Hanukkah. Even today, we often hear an inner voice that whispers to us all the time, "Leave. It's a shame to start. It's shame to start. You have no chance of succeeding." Believe in the value of every little thing, of every positive act, and even of a good thought, and who knows what a great light can come out of it. Because of this belief, we celebrate 8 days. This museum has been a vision of Dr. Mike Evans for a long time. But he doesn't think about small details. He thinks big. Although rational people told him that a building such a museum in the city center of Jerusalem make no sense and people won't come. How lucky are we that he didn't listen to them. And so we are standing here in our media center that has hosted presidents, prime ministers, ambassadors, and other world leaders. The museum has been visited by over 400,000 visitors from all over the world. So as you can see, Dr. Evans' vision and belief became a reality, just like that of the Jews thousands of years ago. Each of you has tremendous influence on public opinion. So I hope that all of you will take away from this event and from this Hanukkah that even the smallest vision can become reality. I want to wish you and enjoy your evening and Hanukkah Sameach.
Thank you. Now, Attorney Nir Kimchi will present the vision of the museum. Please.
Shalom, ma shlomchem, how are you? Did you like the museum? Yeah, you like it? Did you visit the Light in the Darkness presentation about the Holocaust? So we are in the light Chag Urim, Chanukah. And I would like to thanks Nitzan and the GPO. And I would like to say a few words about the vision. I'm Nir Kimchi. I'm the director in Israel of Friend of Zion. It was my honor to build this museum according to Dr. Mike Evans' vision. And it's amazing vision, and I want to share with you the real vision of this place, this amazing place. I'm 11th generation in Jerusalem. I'm really like Jerusalem. It's in my blood. I'm part of the chain. And as I told you, it's an honor for me to hear this vision from Dr. Mike Evans about 10 years ago. Once I heard that vision, I had a cause, and I started to run and do this project. And the first phase of this project was the museum. As you saw it, the museum, the vision is to build a bridge between non-Jews and Jews. All of them are Zionists. Actually, there are more non-Jews Zionists than Jews around the world. This is the fact. And this place telling the story of heroes in history who were not Jews, who helped Israel to be established, helping Jews during the Holocaust in the Light of the Darkness presentation. And so the vision was going to two segments of people. Two segments of tourist visitors are visiting this museum. First is the tourist, the evangelical Christian tourist, most of them Christian Zionists. The second are Israelis. And the idea is to build a bridge between them in a way that the tourists who are coming here, and they're coming and visit Israel anyway, and they have some belief, they're coming through this presentation and hear about their heroes and their history, and they became our ambassador. Here am I, it's a synopsis in the museum, Hineni, as you saw. They finish the presentation, the museum experience, and they feel that they want to do something for Israel. And when they're going back to their countries, we have 16 languages here, going back to Brazil, to Korea, to Asia, America, Europe, all over the world, they became our ambassador. And we already have some input from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ministry of Tourism, that they said, yes, people are going back from the museum and they start to ask, Hineni, how can I help? How can I help Israel? How can I help Jews around the world? This is the tourist segment. The second segment, as I told you, are Israelis. And Israelis, me as an 11th generation in Jerusalem, I grew up here in a Zionist family, and the education they taught us in the school, we are alone. We are alone in a small country. We have enemies. We need to take care of ourselves and fight and protect ourselves. But we have friends. We have a lot of friends around the world. And we need to know and to learn about them. And this is the place. So I'm a lawyer in my professional, but this is my project baby. Me as a lawyer, it was very hard to explain to my friends, to my family, who are they? Who are the evangelical Christians, the Christian Zionists? It was very hard to explain with all the suspicions and everything 20 years ago. But now, since the museum is here, it's very easy for me. I'm just telling them, go to Friend of Zion Museum, spend 53 minutes there, and you tell me who are they. And then, this is really the bridge. People, the society in Israel start to understand that we have friends around the world, Zionists, who are friends, and Da'at Ka'al, by the way, in the new Netanyahu book, he talking about Da'at Ka'al, about the knowledge of the people around the world. That this is the way of Zionism. This is the way of fighting anti-Semitism. This is exactly the place. So building a bridge between Israelis and Christians around the world, this is the place. And by the way, it's 7 years open. We already had more than 400,000 people walk through this museum. Exactly 200 people Israelis and 200 people Christian Zionists. Exactly the same, two segments. And this is exactly the vision of Dr. Mike Evans and the bridge that he built it. And he changed the reality, as Daniel said. So this is the museum. And talking the history and heroes. Now we are here. What is this place? The museum is one building. We have in the campus of Foz, we have 9 different buildings. This is the second one. The second building here is the media center, communication center, and you are the media. So this is your place. This is your home in Jerusalem, and this is an NGO. It's a place, it's became a TV studio. We have here a lot of technology, and we're explaining Israel from here. So people who visit the museum and said, Hineni, I want to take part, they signing in the social media. We are the biggest pro-Israel social media in the world, more than 30 million people. And we send a lot of information and facts from here, from this media center, to all the ambassadors that visit the museum and all the people in our social media. And this event is broadcast right now to all the millions. And they want to hear it. They want to hear you. They want to hear people who protect Israel, who protect Jews around the world. And this is the place. So this is the media center, and this is the present and the future. So the museum is the history, and this is the present and the future. The Heritage Center, the rest of the building that you see here, it's very, very interesting because we have here an army, a soldiers' classrooms. It's just here in this complex. And when you walk up the stairs, you saw it. So soldiers, military who are coming here and visit the museum can stay here, no fees. They can learn their content, and this is for the army. There is another complex here which is apartments for Holocaust survivors. There are a lot of Holocaust survivors that coming here from all Israel, staying here for 1 or 2 nights and going and visit Jerusalem. Some of them were doing for them bar mitzvah. They didn't celebrate their bar mitzvah. So we're going with them to the Kotel, give them all the equipment and everything, tefillin, talit, and everything, and celebrate with them bar mitzvahs. We have a lot of bar mitzvahs here at FOS campus in the apartments. Very nice apartments, 5-star apartment. All of this built by donations from Friends of Zion around the world, leading by Dr. Mike Evans and people who are looking on us right now in the social media. But this is not all. What is very important also that within the last decade we're helping in Ukraine to a lot of Jews. And this is the present righteous Gentile. Dr. Mike Evans, he is the 2023 righteous Gentile. Why? Because he's going to Ukraine and bringing Jews from there to Israel for the last 10 years. When the war started, he sent his son, and his son told about the FOS president, which his name is Michael Evans Jr., and he's right now in Ukraine, and he's helping a lot of poor people, more than 1,400 tons of food and medicine, 1,400 tons of food, medicine, and equipment to Ukraine. No one hear about that, but this is huge. He's there right now. I want to show you something now, a very fast video about what he's doing right now there.
I'm here in Ukraine on the Russian border. Holocaust survivors in Ukraine are in a state of total panic because they believe there's going to be a Russian invasion. Everything possible is being done to destabilize the country right now. I can tell you that personally. I've been here in the trenches. Russia is close to completing preparations for what appears to be a large-scale invasion and launch a humanitarian crisis.
This is a village that doesn't exist anymore, but some of the people are still here.
A few months ago, you couldn't turn on a TV without hearing some update about how bad things are here. But as often happens, once it's off the front page, we forget about the ongoing humanitarian crisis. I'm here to tell you the situation here is as heartbreaking as it has ever been. Half of Ukraine's infrastructure has been destroyed by this conflict. That means millions of people don't have homes, and millions more will be without any kind of heat this winter, and it gets cold in Ukraine. Imagine if you can what it would be like to hear bombs going off day and night, with your electricity shut off and no access to food. The elderly are the ones who are most affected. They're living wherever they can find shelter, often in church basements. I knew that we had to do something to help them. Last time I was here, I really felt God tell me to buy some generators for these churches of refuge. We delivered trucks full of generators so the churches would be prepared. Right after we got them installed, the entire eastern side of Ukraine lost power. It's because of your help that we're able to hear God and obey and see his plans fulfilled. Ukraine is home to over 400,000 Jews, including many Holocaust survivors. The Jerusalem Prayer Team has been ministering to them for over a decade. We've been bringing life-saving food to these precious Jewish survivors for months now. But now we need to get food to these churches who are providing shelter for these cold and displaced refugees. For months now, we have had convoys heading directly into the war zone to provide food not only for Jews, but also for Christians who are starving. Since the war began, we have driven 20-ton trucks filled with food into some of the worst-hit areas. We've made that trip 74 times, delivering over 3 million pounds of food. But there's so much more we need to do to make sure these desperate people survive the harsh winter.
Без помощи, никак. Мы не знаю, как бы были. Я не знаю. Спасибо, спасибо. Спасибо, спасибо.
So this is Michael Evans, the president of FOZ. He's there right now, and this is amazing what he's doing. This is really a righteous Gentile work in 2022. And this is a very good example of how you take vision of someone amazing, building the bridge, and make it came true. And this media center, it's for you, for use. Whatever you think, you have any idea to have a media event here or to do a media seminar or whatsoever, let me know. We can have it. It's an NGO. It's for you. It's your home in Israel. Thank you very much. All the best. Take care. Hanukkah Sameach.
Thank you, Nir. We will now take a break for dinner, and in the meantime, we will have our show. Ariel Cohen, please come on stage. Enjoy your dinner. We'll be back with the Minister Nachman Shai and the Jewish Agency Chair later on for a discussion.
Good evening, everybody. Happy Hanukkah.
אני יכול לשבת פה?
Goes like this for the fifth, the minor fall from angelic, the baffled king composing hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. שמעתי שדוד הכל דברים לאלוקים ושאתה חובב תמיד ידוע הכל גדול מסתרים מנופל לשוררי ומך מבובר שם הללויה The daily play and it pleased the Lord. You don't care for us, do you? It goes like this, the fourth, the fifth, the minor fall, the major league, the baffling king composing hallelujah. Thank you. Smile without reason why. Love as if you were a child. Smile, you never have the time. Don't listen to what they say, 'cause life is beautiful that way. ימים של אהבה, שיר ישר לעם ירח, מזכיר שמשחק נמשך והחיים יפים כל כך. Okay, so the next song is about I think, the most beautiful city in the world. You have it here? What city? Yeah, that's right. Jerusalem of Gold by Nomi Shemer. So I have the honor to sing this beautiful, beautiful song. ברבות המים, לשוק ולכיכר, שופר קורא בהר הבית, בנים העתיקה, ובוב ארוך אשר בסלע, אלפי שמשות זוכרות, לשוק נעלם המלך בדרך יריחו, ירושלים של זהב, אשר נחושת ושל אור, המון רחוב שיריים ירושלים של זהב, אשר נחושת ושל אור, המון רחוב שיריים Thank you very much. תודה רבה. I'd like to sing the next beautiful song. It's a Ladino song. Do you know what Ladino song is? Ladino is the language of the Jewish in Spain, and Morocco, and Greece. So, yeah. Addio, querida. צורי שלא אחרנו ברך ואלוהי סבנו ופתרנו כי דבר אדוני סבנו ופתרנו כי This is a beautiful prayer in Hebrew. David wrote it in a song. It's called Shir Lama'alot, Isai Na'ayim. Shir Lama'alot, Isai Na'ayim. האמון שלך הנה לא ינום ולא נשאר שומר ישראל השם שומרך אשר צלך היה ימינך יום השמש לא יכך וירח בלילה השם ישמור מכל ישמור את נפשך אשר ישמור צאתך ובואך ואתה תודה רבה, thank you.
Okay, can you hear me now? From now, we will do it the Jewish way, or maybe I should say the Israeli way, which is eating and speaking at the same time. So for the next part of the program, we will hear from both Mr. Nachman Shai, the Minister of Diaspora, and from the chairman of the Jewish Agency, Mr. Doron Almog. Both of you can come up to the stage, you get your speaking time, and then we will open the discussion with you, my colleagues, some questions and answers. So please come up to the stage. You're not going to have your main course. We'll let people eat, and you will speak. We'll start with Nachman, as you are the almost outgoing minister. So it's maybe one of the last opportunities to talk to you in your role. Yeah. Now every night you've been hearing this is the last opportunity, your last night on the job. But really now I think the government will be sworn in maybe 10 days. Nachman, please, the stage is yours. Take mine. How do you sum up your time in the ministry, and what is your expectation from the next Minister of Diaspora? But keep it short.
No, I think I wouldn't be surprised to say that this was a tough but successful term as far as I can judge. I'd like to give all the credit to my Director General, Tziona Koenig-Yair, and some of my staff attending dinner tonight. I inherited a crisis between, in general, the Jewish people and the government of Israel from a number of reasons. One of them was the Kotel issue, but there are others too. And I've been dealing with repairing the damage and healing the wounds and trying to bring things back to normal. I think we succeeded. There's no 100%, but we finally made sure that the Israeli leadership and the American Jewish leadership and other Jewish leaders from the world will come together and can talk to each other. That's the situation that my friend Doron found when he came in a few weeks ago, 2 months ago, right? And almost 4, you see, time passes very quickly when you enjoy your job. And I think we've done good things for the relationship between the diaspora and Israel, and you cannot judge really what will work and what wouldn't. We are engaged with a number of projects on education, formal education, anti-Semitism, community resilience, and so on and so forth. And it's not something that you can see the outcome immediately. But I believe that my successor, whoever is going to be, and we have no idea because they are very late in appointing government ministers when it comes to the Likud, but it will be someone from the Likud party, will have on the one hand an easier job, but on the other hand will have greater challenges because this government is not too careful in passing legislation, in taking steps regarding the Jewish diaspora. I've said it yesterday and you heard me, I hope, very well, and I keep saying the same. I'm very much concerned about the future relationship, and I hope very much that the government of Israel will be much more careful than it has been so far, and maybe some statements will remain as statements, but otherwise if they take steps, significant steps, in the relation between Israel and the diaspora, and will not consult and will not talk and will not discuss it with the diaspora leaders, I can see a crisis coming in. It won't be in my term, it will be in your term, Doron, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you. Mr. Almog, the chairman of the Jewish Agency, you are coming to the job in a very sensitive time with the relationship between the Jewish people in Israel and the Jewish people around the world. How do you, what is the main challenges for you, and how do you plan to proceed with, such a delicate time?
In the history of the Jewish people, every time is very sensitive, and every time people are saying, "Whoa, this is the biggest crisis ever, and this is the most difficult year ever." So the biggest challenge right now to unify the Jewish people, despite having streams and reform and conservative and orthodox and secular, and about half of the Jews overseas in Jewish communities all over the world, and half of the Jews here in Zion. But I'm always optimistic, and this is the better situation that Moses said when he just saw the land of Israel from Har Nevo, from the other side of Jordan, and God told him, "Look at them, you won't cross the Jordan. So he led it. Now, in our time, I named the State of Israel the miracle, the only miracle, as Nathan Alterman, the poet, said in our term. Just today, I light the third candle in the Kotel, together with 150 Holocaust survivors. 150 Holocaust survivors. I think the youngest among them was 85. And when Second World War ended, 1945, there was no state of Israel, and no one dreamed about the state of Israel. Didi, my wife, sitting here, she is named Frida Didi, on her grandma that was killed in Auschwitz. So my parent generation, I'm burdened right now because I'm in a period of 30 days after my mom passed away. And she is my mom. She born here in Palestine under the British mandate. My father also. They had only one dream. And the Jewish population was less than 600,000. And they had one dream, to throw away the Brits and to have the Jewish state. First time after 2,000 years. So after 2,000 years of diaspora, we got, as Ben-Gurion said, the right of return, which came before the state of Israel. The right of return. Now, you know, the discussion in Israel in respect of law of return, but Ben-Gurion said the right of return for every Jew. So the situation after Second World War, 6 million were killed, here 600,000, in the United States about 5 million, and now here 8 million, overseas 8 million, and we need to continue what our prophet said, kibbutz galuyot. What is the biggest challenge of Zionism? Zionism is about Zion. I'm the chairman of the executive of the Jewish Agency. There are more two words, for Israel. And Israel, this is the third temple. And the third temple, after two temples were destroyed, we got our opportunity to build a beautiful state, which is a miracle. So we may be critic and speak about the politics. By the way, I'm the first to be chosen as the executive, as the chairman of the executive, first time outside of politics, never been in politics. And in my life, I did 2 Jewish journeys. The first was for my brother who was killed in the Yom Kippur War and left behind. That journey was with pain. In military, we say never leave the wounded, but he was left 7 days bleeding and evacuated dead already. And 11 years after the Yom Kippur War, our second child was born. Didi, my wife, and me, having a second child, we gave him the name of my brother that was killed in the war. At the age of 8 months, he was diagnosed, and we were told, your son is having a combination of autism and retardation. This is the specific word, retardation. You know, in Hebrew, this is awful word, mefager. When you say someone mefager, is outside of society. So we, Didi and me, found ourselves fighting against stigma, stereotype, prejudice, breaking the walls of shame, stigma, and stereotype. Because many parents took the child and put them overseas. And we decided to love him, never to be ashamed, raise him here in Israel, giving the highest life standard. For him, we built a village in south of Israel. Thank you. Thank you. But also we decided to change Israel's society. So, you know, you ask me, what is my vision for the Jewish people? After the first 2 journeys, it seems everything is much easier. Despite Jewish people, it is difficult. And what I wish for myself and for the Jewish people, to find the formula to live beautifully together despite diversity, to find the respect and honor one for each other, and find a way living respectfully, beautifully together, manage discourse from diversity point of view, and continue building our nation and our only Jewish state, and do more Aliyah. This year, by the way, it's a record for Aliyah this year, 70,000 new Olim, and this is a record comparing the last 10 years, each one the average of about 20,000, 25,000, and I wish myself in the next 4 years to bring million of Jews to the state of Israel, and I wish myself to connect the people here in Israel with every Jewish community all over the world, to strengthen the bonds between every Jewish community, every Jewish family all over the world, and continue fighting for a better life standard for Israel society.
Thank you. Thank you for the words. You know, Doron, you said you didn't come from, the first chairman of the Jewish Agency, you didn't come from politics. But the former Jewish Agency chair went straight to be a president. So this is, you know, a land of opportunities. Anyways, you mentioned 70,000 new immigrants came to Israel this year. This is definitely a record-breaking year. But I suppose, you know, my job here is to be with they gave you this nicest tones. I'm here to be a little bit more spiced it up. They brought me as a political reporter, so how can, you know, I can't help it. Newcomers, immigrants came from probably mostly Russia and Ukraine, and many of them obviously will just start to tackle with the problems of the Israeli bureaucracy, specifically with respect to people who are, you know, from half-Jews families or are from Reforms families and so on. I'm just throwing it into the discussion. I know you've met today in the Knesset some members of the Knesset, and this is right now this is the time for you to ask a couple of questions. So anyone wants to start with a question, or Nitzan, do we know who is asking the questions, or is it just open? משנה לכם או ש... Okay, please, sir.
I'm just following up on, it's very interesting. It seems like, without getting political, religious, any of that, just from a pragmatic standpoint, it seems that bringing Olim to the country who don't really have a solution, I would appreciate it to hear an explanation of, you know, why strategically for the country that's a good thing if from the get-go there's already they're behind some 8-ball.
And let me just add to that, right now, if you are a grandson or grandchild of a Jewish person, you can come under the right of return. But right now, the current government or the expected next government definitely wants to change that. There's a big debate inside Israel society about that. But, you know, people will come and then they will, you know, hit the wall with the problems of Israel bureaucracy. Who wants to go first with the answer?
One of my recommendations, and I've been stating that already 2 or 3 times, is not to touch any item, including bills, and the relationship between Israel and the diaspora. The elections were not about the diaspora. The elections were about Israel, about homeland security, about terror, about education, and I can give you a whole list, but not about the relationship. And I don't think this government, whoever is going to be serving in my position or in any other position, has a right to change basic things in the relationship between us and the diaspora. That, if at all, should be done based on dialogue between the diaspora and Israel. And I've been recommending all the way in my, as long as I was in this capacity for almost 18 months, to open a dialogue between the diaspora and Israel, and transparent dialogue, and to be open and public. We should listen, and we should hear, and then we can make decisions. And no one authorized the government of Israel to make decisions regarding the diaspora. Yes, it is true that every decision made by the government, whoever it is, has some impact on the Jewish and the Jewish diaspora. It's true. But I don't think this government has the right, and not any other government, just to make decisions that impact directly diaspora without talking to them, and without talking to you and to leaders of the various communities out of Israel. And one of them is the issue of the grandson in the law of return. Don't touch it. Don't change anything. You want to talk about that? Fine. Don't change it, because the government, the state of Israel belongs to all the Jews wherever they are. If they choose to come to live here, it's fine. If they choose to live in their own home states, wherever they are, I respect it a lot. And that's my position as a government on diaspora first. That's my position.
Thank you very much. I just want to clarify. My question is less the, let's say, American grandchild who wants to make Aliyah. I understand what you're saying about the status quo, and that's been the right, and there's a discussion that would need to take place to change that. That wasn't my question. My question was what might be more active, proactive effort to bring thousands, tens of thousands of Jews from other lands to Israel with and actively, proactively bringing.
Okay. Number one, I wanted to know that Israel, the state of Israel, is a partnership between the people who are sitting here and all the Jews all over the world. Hundreds of billions came from overseas, continue coming from overseas. You see hospital and industries and high-tech and investment companies. And during War of Independence, when only 600,000 were here and 5 million in the United States, most of the money for my parent generation came from the United States. About 70% of the money came from the United States and volunteers. And of course the airplanes and weapon systems and so on. But this is partnership between all the Jews in the world. Those who are sitting here are citizens of the State of Israel, and the others are our partners. And we continue, I will continue in my term as the chairman of the executive, continue flourishing this partnership. So this is number one. How to attract Jews from overseas. In some countries, they are coming due the conditions, Russia, Ukraine, but a lot of work is done by the Jewish agency Shlichim, emissaries. I'll give you one example. I met, there are 26 absorption centers of Olim here in Israel. In each one about between 400 to 600 Olim. Most of them young, between 20 to 35, academic, many of them. And I asked one of them, who came from Moscow, Valentina Homenko. Didi, my wife, and me met her. Valentina, how did you come? She said, my father Christian, my mom Jewish, but until age 10, I didn't know that I'm Jewish. At age 10, something happened. Shlichim arrived to Moscow. Some of them Shinshin. Shinshin is 18 years old before military service, coming to go to 1 year serving a social community overseas. So Shlichim came to Moscow, started working with the Jewish community, and every week, twice a week, 3 times a week, meeting at the club, speaking about Judaism, about the state of Israel, about our culture, about our values, about commitment, about friendship, Friday night dinner together, summer camp, 2-month summer camp each year. When she arrived 17, she decided, I'm Jewish, and I do want to make Aliyah, and she did. And I heard this story from many new Olim. And in each center, we have from about 40 different countries. From Argentina, from Peru, Latin America, even from some countries that you do not mention because we do not have relationship with them. They arrive. And we try to attract them. How? By those, in military we say boots on the ground, by those shlichim. We, the Jewish Agency, we have about 2,000 shlichim overseas. And the shlichim and Shinshin, they are the boots on the ground. They do the groundwork. Education, Jewish identity, influencing them. But it's a discourse. It's about, you take 18 years old girl, she comes to New Jersey. Number one, she needs courage to decide, I'm going to 1 year to New Jersey, never been in New Jersey, never been in the United States. And then she's facing everything. What they ask her, the youngster, they ask about the West Bank, about the Jewish state identity, occupiers, apartheid, what your image. And she needs to convince them what our identity, what kind of people, what kind of society. And she's walking, and they are walking. And they are courageous and intelligent and brave. We need them in every corner of Jewish communities all over the world. We need the shlichim, we need the people. In my term, I want to add more because we have many Israelis overseas, some of them for marketing, for Rafael, IAI, Elbit, Intel, whatever. Companies, commercial companies, some of them officers, some of them researchers from maybe from the Technion, from the Weizmann Institute. They go for 1 year research overseas. What I ask each one of them, please make a contact with one Jewish family. Not to convince them to leave their country, but to get more friendly relationship with Jews. Start the discourse, start speaking. But continue this discourse by WhatsApp, by every Friday, send them something. If someone in the family having disease or pass away, console them, come to visit. As we say, mitzvat bikur cholim, be a mensch. That's what I ask for every Jew in the world, to be a mensch and to make a contact. Why? Because still, half of the people is here, half of the people overseas, and the kibbutz galuyot is in front of us. And we want to continue building our country and strengthening the Jewish people by our values, by the commitment, by the love, by the unity. Thank you.
Okay, next question. Yes, please. Do you have over there? Okay.
Is it okay if it's over here, or do you want it in the front?
Go ahead.
Okay, my question has to do, we've heard a lot over the last couple of days about the Jewish, family as a whole and being, Israel and the diaspora being one. My question to you is, there's a rising tide of young Jewish people outside of Israel who are joining the BDS, anti-Israel movement, the anti-Zionist movement. I can speak to you from Canada alone, Independent Jewish Voices, If Not Now, and the list can go on and on and on. These people are usually put in the forefront in our countries as the people who make it acceptable for BDS to take place. People, because they're Jewish, then it's obviously okay if you put them in the front, and they're saying Israel is an apartheid state, or if they say that Israel commits crimes against humanity or genocidal. And I wonder how you, because you are the people responsible for bringing in Olim, but also for dealing with the diaspora, how do you reconcile that when you say all Jewish people, we're achim echad le'echad and all the rest of it, and then you have a portion that's keeping on growing in the diaspora that is actually turning its back to Israel, turning its back to their own communities. How do we get those people? What is your answer to how we deal with those people, and how do we bring those people into our tent and into the big tent of the Jewish tent? What is the responsibility of the Jewish agency, and what is the responsibility of the Israeli government to address that? Thank you.
Let me just say that, did you know that we have a BDS governmental office, actually a minister responsible of dealing with BDS, but the problem is that because we had 5 election cycles, this specific ministry was moved back and forth from any other coalition agreement. It moved back and forth into the Foreign Affairs Ministry, then out. Now it's going to be moved back in, probably into the Prime Minister office under a new strategic minister, who probably will be Ron Dermer. So that's one issue for the Israeli government. But do you mind if I pick up another question, and then you'll keep it short, the answers? Go ahead, just do 2 questions. And so one is the BDS, obviously, Canada, and then Australia, right?
Thank you. I'm Deborah Stone. I'm from Plus 61J in Australia. There's a great deal of concern in some parts of the diaspora community about Israel's democratic values, particularly with the election of the new government. There are concerns about the independence of the Supreme Court and concerns about human rights issues, both for Palestinians and for other minority groups within the society. And part of the distance that is developing between some diaspora communities and Israel is about a value difference, a sense that Israel's attachment to democratic values is not as strong as the attachment of many Jews in the diaspora. How do you respond to that?
So let's start with the BDS question. How is this, the government is fighting this off, and the diaspora minister has a job in that?
Yeah, I totally agree with you that the major challenge of us in the ministry and the government and for Israel is the upcoming young generation of Jews in the entire Jewish world, but mostly in the United States. We have established a few years ago a partnership with 3 major Jewish organizations, with Hillel, Chabad, and Olami. And we work together in around 500 university campuses all around the world, teaching them about, on one hand, Judaism, and on the other hand, about Israel. It's not enough, but it's much more than it has ever been done. And I invite every organization which had branches in any university in the world where there are enough number of Jewish students to contact the ministry, and we will help them to build a similar operation wherever they are. We also raised the volume of this, and we added the leadership program, and we are open to any idea dealing with the young generation of Jews, Americans and non-Americans. I think this is the most important item and project in our ministry. And we have to do much more. We are now focusing also on high school students. We started a new program called Route 1. We are funding new programs with the conservative and reform movements in the United States for high school. We invite them to come to Israel and stay. Very similar to Taglit and so on and so forth. I don't want to speak too much, but you should know that it's very high on our agenda. About values. Well, should I say for the 4th time that I'm very much concerned? So I will, and 5th, and 6th, and 7th. This is one of the things that break my heart, because being a Jew is not just being religiously Jew. I believe that being a Jew means that you carry a certain set of values, okay, and which are mainly around democracy. You can just figure it out, what democracy means for us. Israel is not Jewish democratic state just. It's Jewish and democratic. And there is no democratic without Jewish, and there's no Jewish without democratic. And anyone who would like to separate between the two of them practically kills the message of the State of Israel, funded by our previous generation, previous leaders from Ben-Gurion and even earlier. So the democratic values of Israel are the common denominator of the Jewish communities all around the world. And when I watch, and when I have been watching the coalition negotiation,
and the future, the present laws that are now being delivered by the Knesset, one after the other, and the future programs, I am certainly concerned that Israel will lose some major foundations of its democratic values and democratic structure. And all of us Israelis, as far as I'm concerned, should fight for the Israeli democracy, whoever we are, right and left. Because one of the basic ideas of democracy, that once the right is on power, then the left and both of them, whatever, change of power. But the way it's been going now is contradict to the Jewish democratic character of the State of Israel.
Number one, I saw growing anti-Semitism in the United States. Just been in New Jersey in a conference of Shlichim, 350 Shlichim gather in New Jersey after about 3 years of COVID and no gathering. And I heard about the growing anti-Semitism in the United States. I get a report every month. The numbers are growing. There are many universities that Jews students afraid to go with kippah or take off the Magen David. What should we do? We need to reinforce our shlichim in the United States, all over the world, when there is anti-Semitism. But today, luckily, we have a strong state of Israel. And despite all the criticism that Nachman continue launching, we have good spirit of our people, good spirit of solidarity, of volunteering. Thank you. You can't believe how many I find attracted by the Jewish agency. Just lately, we sent 1,600 former soldiers who just left the finished 3 years service, and all of them, we send them to 3 months summer camp in the United States. At this time, the State of Israel needs to strengthen Jewish communities all over the world. In the past, it was the opposite. In the past, as I said, in the War of Independence, only 600,000 there and 5 million in the United States. They strengthen us by the money, by volunteers. But now we have powerful Jewish state. And we need to strengthen the Jews and to show them what is a commitment. And I'm telling you, number one, from my military experience, I did many operations for Jews overseas. 6 years of operation in Sudan to bring Jews from Ethiopia, very moving. I participated in many rescue operations. One of them is the Entebbe, flying 4,000 kilometers, landing 11 p.m. sharp, killing the terrorists, bring back the 105 Israeli hostages. This is commitment. Thank you. This is about commitment. This is the readiness of every young soldier or volunteer here in Israel to do more for our brothers and sisters in trouble, in misery, in suffer. So,
we have time for just one more last question, and that will be the final question for the night.
That's a question, an assignment for Mr. Almog. Your parents did the impossible, a modern country after 3,000 years. You led extraordinary things as a major general, then with your son. Last week, Nitzan, Chen, and the GPO hosted the Christian Media Summit. And there is one striking difference between the Christian Media Summit and the Jewish Media Summit. The Christians pray for the peace of Jerusalem. They pray to God the Almighty and asking God to spread an iron dome over Israel. And here for the past 24 hours, we heard from 2 ministers. We heard from 3 members of the Knesset. And among ourselves, the ideas are so diverse that because you have a lot of time on your hands, other than the Jewish agency, maybe you as a leader, as a major general, would find in your heart to lead us to some type of unity which is greatly missing. It is not the current government and the future government. We are one nation under God.
I agree.
No, but it's a homework assignment.
I agree. We have a lot in common, and I believe in the spirit of the Jewish people. I want to tell you something. You know, despite the differences and the emphasis of Nachman, if you go to the IDF, to Mossad, to Shabak, to any hospital in Israel, to come to my village in south of Israel, I have 700 workers, 100 Bedouins, Muslims, and also many Christians. Some of them, by the way, the grandchildren of Nazis who killed Jews in Second World War, and their grandchildren coming for atonement. And they walk together, Christians, Muslims, Jews, together with wonderful harmony. But if you go to the idea, 1 minute, if you go to any business in Israel, any hospital, as I said, the idea, you won't see the discrepancies. You won't see the tension, the political tension. The political tension is mainly the political tension. You go to any home in Israel, what you find? You find solidarity, you find friendship, you find assistance. We have more than 30,000 foundations, all of them volunteers. Volunteers for what? Volunteers to assist those who need. You know, it's written in our Bible to assist the orphans, the bereaved families, the poor, the elderly. Wow. I think Israel is #1 in the world with volunteering. And as answer for you, you know, just come to Israel to volunteer. Stay 1 month in my village as volunteer, and then you understand what is Israel and what is the spirit of Israel and what is our democracy on the ground. On the ground, there's totally different discourse. Just a week ago, I'd been to the Galilee. I met 18 women, some of them Christian, some of them ultra-Orthodox, some of them Druze, some of them Bedouin, some of them Cherkess. Jewish and non-Jewish. And you know what the discourse, they spoke about partnership between Dallas and the West Galilee, and partnership between the Druze and the Arab and the Jews, and you can't believe. You know, you hear what they are speaking, and you don't hear one sound on the discrepancies that here at the political level. And they want to set a society of exemplary, Chevrat Mofet, that they want. They're ambitious to set Chevrat Mofet here in Israel is much, much greater than any politician is dreaming. It's much above.
Thank you so much, Mr. Nachman Shai, and good luck on your next adventure. Thank you so much, Chairman of the Jewish Agency, Doron Almog, and good luck on your current adventure. And thank you for the crowd for being here and respecting this discourse. And Chag Sameach.
The main course is still to arrive, so please don't leave yet. We have the main course coming. Just a reminder regarding tomorrow, before people leave, because I see some people are leaving already. A reminder regarding tomorrow. The people who are going on the option to the base, we are leaving at 7:30 sharp. If you do not come down by 7:30, you will not be able to leave on that option, and you'll have to take the Tel Aviv option. We need to leave at 7:30. Those who are going to Tel Aviv, we are leaving at 9 o'clock, okay? So again, those leaving to the base, we are leaving at 7:30 sharp.
first, so my first encounter
אמרתי להם ש... מריה, בנצי התקשר אליי עכשיו. מה עכשיו? 10:40 צריכים לצאת ממאלי. זה אומר שאתם ממש חייבים לצאת ב7:30. וגם אמרתי את זה עכשיו, וגם אמרתי באוטובוס. ברור. ברור.
לא כולם פה, לא כולם בקבוצה, אז איכשהו ככה...
נכון, ככה ננסה, כן. את הבהרת את התמונות